I can see everybody in a Hangout. You can see everybody at the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Typically, the way it works is the person who is speaking at the moment becomes visible on the main screen.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, there are a couple of ways to interrupt that process, right? So,
Oh, it's live.
yeah, we're recording at the moment for Melvina, and we'll probably leave it up just long enough for her to be able to see. I don't, and I mean, who knows? We may get to the end of it and go, "That's great, save that for posterity," maybe. But I really just want to be able to for her to be able to follow kind of what happens. So one of the things that you'll notice is that if you don't do anything else in a Hangout, the visual will kind of pop back and forth among people as they talk.
Mm-hmm.
If you but you can tap or click on the face of the person at the bottom, right? So if for example, Diane, if you tap on Kumi's face, right, then
Mm-hmm.
you will see Kumi's feed and only Kumi's feed,
Okay.
right? Now, for me, it's still going back and forth according to whoever talks.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, the user, you're able to kind of concentrate on just one person. Or if one person's speaking and you don't want interruptions coming because somebody sneezes or whatever, you can just click on them. If you want to go back to having it be whoever's speaking,
Mm-hmm.
then you see how Kumi's square with her face has a white outline at the moment.
I don't have that. I'm on my iPad. I don't know if that's why, but I don't see
Um,
I see one little tiny circle of Kumi at the bottom, and that's it.
And you
uh,
see a circle with me?
No.
Really?
hmm. I couldn't connect from my iPad, so
Uh,
I'm doing it from my phone.
From your phone. Okay.
And then I see both little face
Okay.
of Diane and myself.
And Kumi, are you on an Android phone or an iOS phone?
iOS.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Um, I know how it works on a Chromebook or a laptop, and not particularly otherwise. So
Okay.
there you go. All right. So at any rate, cool that we're all getting together. You get a chance to share a few ideas. That's awesome. At any point, you are also able, by the way, just talking about Hangouts, you can mute your microphone or mute your camera, right? And Diane, that's what you were finding there a second ago. You can essentially set it so that like instead of actually seeing someone's face. So, for example, if I turn off my camera, you'd get this, right?
Okay.
Oh,
Right.
So I
And,
was I was clicking around to see if I could get everybody's pictures, and it must have
uh,
made my camera go off, but I
well, one reason this might be important to do this is if you're working with kind of a low bandwidth situation
Mhm.
and you're kind of concerned that the attempt to get the video in is actually hurting the ability to connect or something, then
Uh-huh.
you can turn off the
mm-hmm.
camera and that might help. But that's really just a theory more than it is anything else.
Okay.
Cool. And so, Kumi, this is Diane's first Hangout. Have you used Hangouts before?
No, I've seen it, but
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool technology for sure. Okay,
mm-hmm.
so let's talk video projects for a minute.
Yeah.
And first of all, we've done these two slide presentation bits, and have you kind of thought about ways that you might use that?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
go ahead, Kumi.
No, it's okay, go.
Well, when we did that, Rushton, I was thinking about how my students could use it if we get access to, well, we have access to Google and Slides, so they could use that. And I've had them do presentations in Google Slides before.
Okay.
I like the way that you structured that. I think that kind of really would help my kids in terms of citing where they got their photo from.
Hmm.
I was going to do live video for my video, so I wasn't really imagining how to use the slides.
Okay. I don't know that I prompted you guys for that in the emails either, but there are a couple of different ways you could use it. Kumi, were you about to say something earlier on this?
No, I'm still exploring the idea what kind of video project my student can do. I have my student make how to teach something that they like, what they're good at.
Yeah.
But other classes they can do different topics, but make it. I like the 90 seconds short video,
Hmm.
but it's kind of challenging to do something teaching within that time limit. So I was just exploring all the videos on your Next Vista
Hmm.
website, and I looked at some of the samples, the winners of the Limbook literature that AB did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty
Okay.
neat.
Well, let's talk about that. But before we do, I want to make a couple of points about the two-slide presentation. And just in case somebody watches this who doesn't know what we're talking about, this is a presentation done in Google Slides, although it could be anything, of 2 slides and 2 slides only. And the idea is that the first slide has an image taken from a Creative Commons licensed repository of them. So being able to find images that are copyright friendly, they're legally allowable to use as long as you provide a citation. It's a little more complex than that, but that's the basic idea. And then also on that first slide, you cite the source of the image. So by putting, for example, let's just say it's a picture of the Eiffel Tower, right? The magnificent Eiffel Tower by, Jean-Louis Smith, from Flickr. So you've included these 3 things: the name of the image, at least the name that Jean-Louis gave it, right? And you've put in the name of the person who did it, Jean-Louis Smith, and the site from which you got it, Flickr. Now, that information is good enough for being able to, for someone to get back to that picture. But because it's a slide in a presentation, you could also take the link to the page from where you got it and embed that in part or all of that citation. So, for example, you can highlight the name and then click link and then paste in that thing and boom. So you've got this citation that has a link in it to get back to where you got it. So you're really doing what's appropriate with citations from a larger philosophical sense, which is you're doing 2 things. You're highlighting the person whose work it is, and you're providing a path back to where you got it. Sometimes when people do citations, they think, oh, you have to put the entire address, and they don't do anything to shorten it or anything like this. So you get this ridiculously long address from one of these sites. And there's no way anybody could ever type it in successfully. Because of, is it an L or a 1 or an I or what is it? No chance. So if they do that and don't put the name of the person who did it, they're accomplishing neither goal of highlighting the person who did it, nor providing a path back to where it was found. And from a general educational standpoint, just like no matter what it is you're learning and studying, right? You want people to think in terms of, I know what others have done, I know what I am adding to the thoughts. I am providing these insights to this idea that was put forward by somebody else. And so that whole issue of properly citing your sources, of knowing what you have done and what others have done, that's kind of the larger educational goal with this, and transcends subjects easily. So that's the first slide. The second slide is just why you chose whatever that image is. And that's a really compact assignment, because the idea really is just to get them to cite their source, right? To use a copyright-friendly piece of media and to cite it. And to cite it successfully. And so it's a very, very focused assignment that allows the kid to know, okay, somebody's serious about these citation things. You can do activities in class, like they look at each other's, kind of presentations, and they click on the link, and it goes to it. And if it doesn't, they say, well, before the teacher gets this and fails you, gives you an F on this, right? Make sure that blah blah blah. So there's a lot of ways to kind of make sure the kids understand that you are genuinely serious about citations, because most kids' experience is that most teachers are not. They say you should do this, and they don't really police it. So the kids ignore it, and they get to a contest like ours, and we say, cite your sources, and they have to be from these places. And they totally ignore it, because their experience is that people always do. And then we write them back, and we say, well, you don't have these citations, it's not from the right sites, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, that's a lot of work. And it's like, well, yeah, we told you on the front end, but you were acting on this rather logical belief that no one ever really means it because that's not their experience. So anyway, so the point in bringing up is what else could you do with it? When you start school in the fall, and you guys are getting to know each other. Kids are always excited, the first few days because who are these people in the classroom? Classmates, blah blah blah. So being able to do a 2-slide presentation where you pick any picture, that doesn't get someone like fired, and put that in, making sure that it's from a copyright friendly source, and cite it, and then on that second slide, just this is why I chose this picture. So maybe Jean-Louis Smith picked, the Eiffel Tower because he had a dream once that he was going to go there someday. Great, that's cool. Maybe even makes it even cooler than that. I had a dream once that I would meet somebody wonderful, and she and I would go to the Eiffel Tower someday. And so everybody was, oh, that kind of thing. And so it's just a cool little moment, right? And what we want are for the kids to have these positive moments with each other on the front end of the semester, so that they're more comfortable sharing ideas in class when you say, okay, I want you to do this and this and this. Right. So that's one way. That's one way to use the 2-slide presentation. Another way is to create a visual vocabulary stack. So you've got these slides that are about different vocabulary words, so that the visuals prompt things. And especially if, like Kumi, you're doing language, then other elements in the picture may prompt more use of the language, which is really nice. Diane, remind me what you teach again.
I teach 3rd grade.
3rd graders. So 3rd graders, you might be talking about creative writing prompts or anything like this, and they look at the picture and you say, okay, this is the main piece of this picture. It's this big tower. Write a sentence about something else you see in the picture. And you could do this with each person's picture. Today we're going to highlight, Maria's picture, or something like that. And that's kind of fun for the kids as well. Like, oh wow, I get to be the highlighted picture. Ooh, There's a lot of little things you can do that. One of the messages about digital media is that you don't have to go from nothing to edited, crafted video, right? There's a lot of intermediate steps that can be really useful in getting people in that space.
Yeah. I have a question about, I think it is a good idea to have focus on the 2 slides or 1 slide sharing each other's and practicing how to cite source just like we did. And often high school students, they make presentation with the pictures, and then we do encourage them to use Creative Commons. And when they have multiple visuals in entire presentation, is it better to have the citation on each slide under each image? They tend to do the copy paste the link at the end of the slide to show, which is very annoying. They don't remember, they don't pay any respect to where they got it or the author. So maybe I should embrace having the title of the image. Sorry, my dog is licking my leg. And then, sorry. No, Lucy, stop it. So is it better to have that?
I think that if you find that students are abusing the privilege, we'll call it, of putting all of the citations at the end, and what they're doing essentially is, like citing some of them and not others, and they're making up parts of it. I mean, that's really annoying, right? So at that, it might be worth having them put it, right there, along the way. When I do slides, I almost always put the citation for the image that I use in the slide on that slide, and that allows me to emphasize that citations are important. But I mean, my work is also. So I think you can kind of do it either way. One of the things about slide presentations is that you could convert a slide presentation into a video pretty easily. But so they do the slides and the images and links and whatever and citations, however they do it in the slides, and then you use a screencasting tool so that they're telling about each slide, and then they advance the slide changes on the screen, and they're just narrating, right? And that's one way to make a video, and it's a pretty good one in a lot of ways. I mean, it kind of simplifies a lot of things. So the important thing about a video is not that it be have this kind of perfect lighting and transitions and everything like that. The important thing about the kind of video that we're talking about is that an interesting idea got clearly and hopefully creatively shared, and people
Mm-hmm.
can understand what's being said and being conveyed. I mean, that's the important thing. And so, it doesn't have to be the perfect video. It's kind of fun to have really nice videography work, right? But it's just not
Mm-hmm.
necessary for our purposes because we're not teaching video production. We're teaching whatever we teach, and the video is just a tool we're using to try to bring the best out of the students.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thought on that. Okay, cool. And let's kind of shift into talking about video a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and talk about kind of possibilities with video and all. We'll start with Diane. Diane, you're thinking in terms of and you're starting the right way. It's like, okay, well, what do my students have challenges with? What do they mess up? And you talked about plurals and apostrophes and possessives and this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you were having some ideas about a video. So go ahead and describe kind of what you were thinking about with the video.
So actually, I have my ideas jotted down somewhere, but and they're on my iPad, I think. So what I was thinking is that I wanted to visually show the kids what, like I said to you before Kumi joined us, that if a phrase says Sam's dogs and there's no apostrophe, then or Sam's dog, then there are two Sams and an unrelated dog hanging out there. When you put the apostrophe in, there is one Sam, and the dog is Sam's, right?
Mhm.
So I want to visually show the kids that. I want to do a few different examples of those types of things to show them visually how the apostrophe changes the meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. So ways to kind of go about it. Coming back to what we were talking about with the slides, a simple way to do it is to have one slide that has three pictures on it, right? And they're just all separate, right? Like you've got the backgrounds are different and everything. So there's kind of Sam over here and Sam over here and a dog over here, ideally looking a little lonely, right? And then you have like the second slide, and the second slide is one picture with Sam and the dog together.
Right.
And then maybe you go back to the first and you have, like a title Sam's, and then over here under the dog you've got dog. And in the second one you've got just Sam's dog, right? Something like that. And so that's visually easy, it's certainly comparatively visually easy. I think one of the things you mentioned before is could I get like two Sams in the same footage, right? And that's a bit more advanced thing, and the answer is yes. The kind of standard way of doing something like that is to use what's called a green screen, which allows you to so you get like a big green background, or like kind of a neon green background or something.
Yeah, I am
And you make
green.
sure you're not wearing a neon green shirt. And then what you do is you record. You can record Sam twice, once in front of the green screen, so he's kind of, say, talking this way. And then you record without the green screen, Sam in a natural environment talking that way. And then what happens is, in green screen, you take the green screen bit and you do what's called a chroma key. So you identify the green as the color, and that is going to be superseded by whatever the other video is, right? And I think it depends on the editor whether that video is kind of in the top track or bottom track or whatever. But that allows both of those things to be there at the same time, with the green being the background that disappears in favor of the other background. So you can do that. You can do that even with iMovie, but you have to kind of learn a few things. And so one way to do it is to kind of Google, or even better, go to YouTube and do a search on how to do green screen in iMovie, things like that. Chroma key is the other term.
I was playing around a little bit with iMovie. I have iMovie on my iPad and my phone, but my computer's a PC. So can you do all the editing and stuff on an iPad, or do you have to have a computer to do that on a Mac?
Oh, no, no, no. So the iMovie app on an iPad will allow you to do a lot of things. I don't remember offhand whether there's a green screen tool in the iPad iMovie app. But you just take a different approach, right? So you can imagine showing a picture of of a table and two chairs, right? And then you have footage, one clip of Sam coming in and sitting down at one table, and then another clip with Sam, with a different shirt on, or big fake mustache or something, coming in and sitting down at the other one, and the clips just go from one to the other. So they're clearly talking to each other. They're just never in the screen at the same time. Okay. And you can do that, right, to achieve the idea of two people in the same time. So Sam's, right? So first Sam sits down and said, "Sam, how are you doing?" And the other Sam says, "Sam, it's great. Good to see you. I'm glad both of us are here." And then you see a dog is looking lonely, right? So you could achieve the same kind of idea, although you just wouldn't have that cool extra thing of two people looking at each other. There's probably some way. You do Google green screen on an iPad. See what comes up. There might be something cool there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Kumi, how about you? What kind of things were you mentioned you were thinking about, like some how-to videos and things like that?
So that how to teach something that you're good at. My student made videos teaching how to do backflip, or how to make clay doll, things like that. Whatever they chose, that worked well. So I think I'll go with the same theme for the second year Japanese students. But I wanted to try doing it with different class, Japanese, the third year, maybe AP class, and just listening to you talking about it and help me came up with one idea, maybe how to improve your life. They can make, we talked about what sort of stress and worries they have in real life. I've focused on school life, but my students have a lot of stress and they're doing well, getting good grades, getting into good college, but they don't have good study habit, or they're too busy. So maybe we asked advice, and then the classmate came up with suggestions, and we made what is called the Avatar movie. I forgot. So they made a little figure and they talked each other and listened to their piece of advice, and they exchanged that way just for fun. But maybe they can make it more general audience, how to find good study time, or give advice to underclassmen how to do well in school. Or maybe they can give advice to teachers how to teach better, if they're having trouble with specific thing like a math class or something, or family, how to be nice, how to, I don't know, they have all sort of things. So it opened up the problem, the topic, so they can pick and choose, but something related to their everyday life. And it's very common, and they realize that, oh, it's cool to talk about those things we always talk about in Japanese. So if we could do that, I think that'll be cool. But I don't know, for example, like your next Vista, if we do this in English, maybe more useful than doing in Japanese. But sake of language class, I want them to use Japanese.
Sure.
So if we have subtitle, that would work.
Okay. So let's talk about that from several angles. The one overriding concern is that the use of video be something that makes good things happen for their learning. That's the key piece. So you're right in thinking, if we're talking about doing this in the target language, that it may not be the right thing for Next Vista site. Maybe, right? It is the case that we like to have videos with native speakers, so that when others are watching the videos that are in a given language, they're going to hear kind of authentic use of the language. But there are other things as well. So we've got some good global views videos where people are describing their communities or something in second language, and the key thing is to help the students do a good job of it. And that sounds kind of obvious, but actually it's not, in the sense that most teachers don't take the time to really to hold kids' feet to the fire with regard to what they've done. So the first thing that's important about a video assignment is that the students really do a good job of putting their script together, and they carefully write their script, and they get it checked. They check each other's and give each other suggestions, and the kids do things like write down the suggestions and then respond to the suggestions, essentially saying, I used this suggestion in this way, I chose not to use this suggestion for this reason. So they're letting you know, when they turn all of their stuff in, that they're working with suggestions that others gave. What you really want is this activity to be something that does a really good job of getting them to work effectively with each other. And by effectively, I mean for strong learning purposes. So I would say that you look at that kind of as a possibility, and you think, all right, now I've got these different levels. I've got Japanese 1 and 2 and 4 and all this stuff. And so what they do is going to be different according to which level they are. But there is a difference between what they're trying to accomplish because of their level and who the viewers are and their level, right? I mean, you can kind of imagine, say, a Japanese 3 group making some videos in very simple Japanese in order because the people who are going to view it and use it are Japanese 1 students. This also allows you to take the Japanese 3 students, for example, and to help cement their understanding of some basic things that they may have forgotten. As language teachers, we've all had that experience of, the kids, kind of forgot the rules about this and continually make this mistake, and I remind them, and they don't get it. So if you've got some visuals to reinforce it, it can be quite nice. So there's the level of language use based on the person making it. There's a level of language use based on the person viewing it. And either of those could be a determinant as to what you choose. The topic as well, of course, does that. So, talking about politics or something would be very different than talking about, your daily schedule. I wake up at 6, I eat breakfast. Is very different than, I believe the Conservative Party has been out of power for reasons, that are attributable to the schism, whatever, right? That kind of thing. But when we think about the kids doing the projects, what you want is for them to fine-tune their understanding of some different things, or maybe it's only for kind of a local audience, just the class, and you let them know we're not going to put these online. Generally, I want my students to have the stuff online so that they're thinking in terms of more quality because others might see them. But on the other hand, if you want them to just be able to react quickly, and so that you can kind of talk about it in class. Then you kind of look at these together, and you can do kind of drafts of videos where people are talking about what they hear in order to fine-tune their understanding of certain patterns, or to just talk about use. Look, see, isn't it clever? I mean, there are some issues with grammar here, but isn't it clever that the person kind of brought this in order to get this thought across? And that kind of that kind of approach. There's a lot of ways the video can be useful, right? So I think you've got kind of lots and lots of options here. One thing that I'll toss out there is that we have these 2 collections, these sets, really, of videos on our site. One is on the English alphabet, and it was made by a bunch of 10-year-olds in Birmingham, England, and they're just as cute as they can be, right? So each letter has a video, and so the kids, if they had the letter B, they had to think of things around the campus that begin with the letter B, and then they'd go and take pictures of those things, and they did this with iPads, by the way, the iMovie app on iPads. So they took pictures of that. They wrote sentences, that included that word, and then they had the sentences checked by their teacher, and then they recorded themselves saying it. And so, the letter C, for example, there's this crocodile, image in it, and the kid says, "This crocodile has scary teeth," and you're like, "Wow, that's a totally cool accident," And then the little girl comes up afterwards. There's a picture of a castle, and she says, "Sometimes princesses live in castles," and you're like, that's the coolest thing ever, right? So stuff like that's really hit. We've got another set that's each letter of the Spanish alphabet. And
Uh-huh.
these were some kids down in Mexico who took pictures of things around their town and kind of talked about it, and it's very, very cool stuff. All of that to say that if you were thinking, how would I get like my Japanese 1 students involved in this? Now, I mean, obviously, they can't do this right off the bat. They don't have enough vocabulary, but 46 syllables, right? And you're just trying to get them, on top of hiragana, the 46 basic kana, and maybe getting Japanese 2 students to create videos where they find pictures that have a and pictures with e, or words that have
Uh-huh.
e in it, and u and e and o, and so they can be really, really short. These might be 20-second videos each, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just something that gets some vocabulary in front of them, and maybe they're getting just kind of the words at the bottom just in hiragana, and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
like the same picture but with kanji if you want. There's a lot of things you could do there. So there really just
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different approaches. I would love to get a set of videos about the different kana,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's hiragana or katakana or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
Diane, if you're like, what are they talking about? So hiragana and katakana are the 2 syllabaries, sets of syllables that form the basic units of Japanese language. So there isn't
Okay.
an alphabet, right? It's actually a set of syllables. So
Hmm.
anyway, that's kind of the basic idea. So there's some ideas, right? And so as you think about, you can go quite complex where the kids are kind of talking about stresses in their lives, and that's totally good. If they're kind of there with their use of the language, they can do that. That's awesome. That's great. Those are kind of great things to share with a partner school in Japan, where the kids there are getting to watch it and say, oh, well, because they're really learning something about the lives of these kids in California,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just a lot of different ways to use it. And yeah, I mean, we're certainly happy to have things that we can put on our site. But ours is kind of focused, and if the stuff you do doesn't match it, no worries. Don't worry about that. The
Mm-hmm.
key thing is that you find a way to use video that really works well for you and the students. That's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rushton, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Um, what is your thought or experience with using video as a way for kids to um, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not track their learning, but to highlight their learning.
So I like that you asked that. In part because digital media is evidence of learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, and this is obviously not something you're posting online, but you've got a video of a child reading something, right? And this is a struggling reader. And then you take a little time and you say, okay, like let's just work on a couple of things, because typically struggling readers are their goal is just to get to the end of whatever the passage is, because they hate reading, because they know they're bad at it, and they think everybody thinks they're stupid when they're reading.
Right.
So if what they do though is they watch it, and they hate watching it because they hate seeing themselves be bad readers, and then you can give them one thing. Hey, at those periods, I want you to just stop and pause for a minute, and then start the next sentence, because you're just kind of jamming into the next one, right? And most people are going to stop a little bit at the period and kind of hang out a bit, and then they'll start the next sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And when they try that and you record that and then you show the first one and then the second one, and they see, I'm better. I read better. You've taken the kid who's thinking about reading is, I'm no good at reading, and like, I hate doing this, and maybe for the first time, the kid looks at himself, herself, and says, I can get better, and that may be a revelation. Because all they know about reading is that, oh, I read real quickly because I hate it and I'm no good at it. That's just what they think. And then when they think, I can actually improve, just when somebody gives me a good suggestion, I can improve. And you say, yeah, just read a lot. Don't worry about the fact that you're not perfect at it. Don't worry about that. I just want you to read. I want you to read and find things that when you read it, you go, that's really cool. And they're kind of their heart's more in the right place if they've had the experience of, I can improve. And anytime during the year, you get the kid, oh, I don't know. You can be like, I can show you 2 videos, and in the first one, not so hot, and the second one, you did better. You can improve like that if you decide to do so. That message is huge, right? So I mean,
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces, right? And that's one of those things that I encourage every elementary teacher to do with either like a video system of any kind, or just an audio system. You can imagine using Audacity for that or something like that. But good tools for that, for example. So, when we're thinking of easy ways to do video, if you have an iPad, the Adobe Voice app, oh my goodness, the Adobe Voice app is just like a gift from the heavens. I mean, what specifically the heavens of Adobe, right? And it's a free app, and apparently somebody's actually, like removing a room, and the next hotel room over is getting removed from the building. It's quite exciting. Anyway, so with that app, what you do is you can add images, pictures that you took with the camera on the iPad, or just pictures that they find via a search, or like these little icons, because they have icons for everything in this.
Yeah.
And then what you do, it's amazing. Yeah. I mean, like, I put sushi in there. There's like, boom, like 3 dozen, kind of drawings of sushi. I'm like, what? Wow. So there's just everything in there. And what you do is for each slide, you tap the little microphone button, and you just tap and hold, like that, and then you talk. And you talk as long as you want to talk. And then when you untap, it stops recording. And that image will be in the resulting video for however long you spoke, which is beautifully cool, right? Because you're not trying to think, oh, I need to extend the length of time. This visual is in the editing. You're not worried about that at all. It's just done. So try that out. And that's good for reading as well. You can even like write a few things. Like you can put a certain amount of text on. I mean, not tons, but I mean a certain amount of text there, and you can record stuff that way as well.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Lots of possibilities.
Yeah, I've used the Adobe Voice. It's really fun.
Yeah, I mean that's the other piece of it. It's a blast to use.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that you can learn in just a few minutes, that's really cool. There's a couple other things about Adobe Voice that are really good. So when you first launch Adobe Voice, they've got a lot of other videos that people have made using the app that you can see, right? So you can see what other people are doing with the tool. That's really smart, because if you want to create something, we tell kids to like teach something, like on a video, one kid holds a camera, the other kid stands at a whiteboard and writes, because that's their experience of teaching. But if you watch a lot of different videos where people are teaching this way and that way and the other way, now they're thinking, oh, we could do it like that one did, but we could change it this way. And you have them do that kind of conversation with each other, where they're where they've taken a set of videos, our contest finalists or our careers videos or whatever one, go to Next Vista, nextvista.org for anybody watching recording. All right, and find a set that you like, and they can be like our careers videos, for example. And just pick any 3. And kind of look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and how you might approach it differently, right? How would you do that differently if it were you? And just having a conversation about that allows them to talk about some weaknesses, so hopefully they don't repeat those weaknesses. And then also, just kind of get in that space where they're thinking about some different possibilities.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Rushton, I'm going to vanish for a second. My iPad's going to die. I'm going to go get my charger.
Before you do, actually, we've probably run the length of our time. We've
Okay.
gone almost 45 minutes on this, which is pretty cool. So I'll finish the recording. And so for Melvina, who will watch this, and
can you send, will we have a link or something to it?
Yes.
If you want to go back and reference some brilliant idea you shared?
Well, it's by accident. Yes. There's a link, and I'll send that to you. You can kind of find it via a search in Plus, but I'll get you that link.
Thank you.
So I'll just kind of finish by thanking Diane and Kumi, who are on the recording. The person totally rebuilding the hotel room next door, and yeah, anybody else who managed to catch us. We've got 1 viewer, so whoever's out there, hope you're enjoying this. And with that, we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Rushton.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane.